I just, like, really can't believe that it's about to be 2022. It literally feels like I'm stuck in 2020 and nothing has really happened.
I don't want to go there, to be fair.
No, I'm not ready. I see all these, like, I'm seeing all these fucking TikToks about how, like, 2021, my life changed. The business, the pandemic, it pushed me to start my dream. And I'm like, bitch, I'm 7 months into my dream and not much has happened yet. So give us 5 stars.
Like, I'm trying to wake up from my dream, yo.
I'm living my dream, yo. It just doesn't pay me much, okay? Can't get a nice... I don't have a nice... I don't have a nice marble backsplash that I can, like, brag about on TikTok, you know? I just have this nice tapestry behind me that I can say get on Amazon. And Amazon, please sponsor. Welcome, namaste to the Red Rum and Red Wine podcast, the podcast where we talk about murder, mystery, mishaps, and the best places to get your tapestries. My name is Kristen.
My name is Sarah, and I bought that tapestry for Christian off of Amazon.
The best place to get your tapestries is from your best friend, and that's life advice. Subscribe for more. I'm drunk. How about you?
I swear I was gonna say something.
I swear
but I lost it.
I don't usually drink this much before an episode, but like it is a Tuesday, so
Tuesday.
You gotta have twice as much. And that's on the 10 Commandments. But yeah, who's ready for to learn some mysteries in history? Because I'm not. I'm gagging at this story that I'm about to tell you.
It might be because I didn't tell a story last week. But, I mean, time is time. I just feel like the last Drunk History and Mystery, basically a month ago, which it was probably
it was yesterday.
More than a month. No, it feels like 2 years ago for me.
No, it feels like yesterday. I don't even know what
I don't even remember what I talked about.
I don't even remember what I talked about, but it does feel like it was just yesterday that we were sitting down.
December. Oh. Sudden human combustion.
And I talked about wee baby
Sudden.
backs. I just saw the title in my head. Yes. Yeah. Yep. God, that child labor laws,
Sudden
man.
Human combustion. Is that it? I feel like I'm missing a word.
Yeah,
Whatever.
no, spontaneous.
Anyways, that was last month.
Spontaneous
this
human combustion of the combustions of your flatulence, which is my theory behind why people fucking go boom.
Yeah, totally valid.
It's the methane in the... Right? No. Anywho. Who's ready for some non-factual facts about history?
Yeah, go listen to our last one if you want to hear about that.
If you want to know some mysteries and the historical context, then that's the series for you.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry.
What are you drinking?
Oh. I don't know. It is... Oh, it's like I can't read. Caricature. I was like, is this Spanish? I don't know. But yes, it's a red blend. Very good. I cannot go wrong with red blends.
Yeah.
I heard it has a bit of a bite at the end, but I don't mind it. I just think it has maybe more of like
like getting bitten.
I'm like a little bite. What that makes me think is maybe it's like more of a cab blend, but who knows?
Yeah.
It's delightful.
Nice.
What about you? What about thou?
Well, you know. Oak leaf.
If Oak Leaf does not send us a
case
of wine one day, I would be very disappointed.
Yeah, I was telling a friend back in San Antonio, Rain's husband, that this was my go-to wine, and he said that 5-10 years ago, I don't know, that oak leaf used to be like $2.98, like, or $2.60, some, like definitely under $3.
They fucking raised
now
their
it's
prices.
$3.98 or like $3.
And that's capitalism.
So, yeah. Well, inflation is happening ridiculously across the United States of America.
Be sure to fucking chug because...
Like, don't hold that up.
You need it. I need it. Oh, I suggest that you go first because I just really want to say mine last.
I'm down. I don't care what order I go in,
and also I went first last. Or
yeah,
no.
You like technically
well,
told
like
your
last
story
episode I went. Yeah. It'll make sense to the people that listen to it in order. If not, screw you. This is our show. We do what we want. Okay?
But also, hi, who listens to this podcast in order? I'd love for you to tell me who you are. Okay. I really don't know how to start mine off. I'll just kind of get into it. It's more of a jaw dropper or whatever. It's very kind of mysterious, not creepy or gross, but well, maybe a little creepy. I don't know.
Okay.
But
you have reeled me in.
Yeah. Oh, good. All right. I caught you on the. Most of us have heard about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes.
Which is the area of ocean between Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Florida. Strange things, mysterious things happen, like planes going down and vanishing, or just straight up vanishing, boats and ships just disappearing without a trace. But have you ever heard of the Alaskan Bermuda Triangle?
I can't say that I have, honestly.
I was like, I probably feel like Kristen has, but I don't know.
Maybe. Sorry. It's not COVID. I promise I tested negative.
Sorry. Not laugh.
Don't think that I have, but it wasn't a ghost, it was a speck. Okay. But yeah. I'm intrigued. Yes. Okay. More.
Did you just think you saw a ghost?
Yeah, there was a speck of dust that floated, and I thought it was a ghost.
On my screen or your screen?
No, on mine. It was a piece of lint because I saw it in front of my eye.
I was like...
But yes. Tell me more.
Anyways, I'm like, oh God. Okay, so the Alaskan Bermuda Triangle is also known as Bermuda Triangle of Alaska, or Alaskan Triangle, or Alaska Triangle. I'm mostly going to say Alaskan Triangle just because it seems the easiest. It flows better off my tongue.
Ooh, nice.
And as many of us may know, strange things kind of happen in Alaska. There's a history of, lore and tales and extraterrestrial and just weird shit happening.
Yeah, people.
It's home to many legends.
Alaskan bullworm or whatever I named that episode.
Yeah, I literally, my little next dash is, for example, Kristen, you covered the Alaskan version of Bigfoot.
Look, Sarah, we're such good promoters. We even promote ourselves.
Like literally on this at the same time too, though. Great.
Love it.
And that episode is called Alaskan Bullworm, I believe. So go
Sarah,
check that out.
doing the work for me. Thank you, bestie. Hyping me up.
Anyways, yeah. The Alaskan Triangle is said to be far more deadly and mysterious than its tropical counterpart, the Bermuda.
I honestly don't doubt that at all.
Oh, it's crazy. And some might think it's hard to believe because like with the ocean and how deep it is and how vastly undiscovered it is, or explored.
Yeah, it freaks me out.
It's very easy to think that things can kind of sink and disappear.
I don't like the ocean for like that specific reason. Yeah.
Right. It's kind of creepy, but I love it. Well, certain parts, I guess.
No, I don't like it. I like sharks, but then they kill me, so no.
Yeah. The Alaskan Triangle stretches through four regions of wilderness in the northwest Alaska area.
Oh.
The border stretches from Utqiagvik, formerly known as Barrow, which is much easier to say. Goodness. But anyways, it's in northern Alaska, like right up on the coast, northern tip. And then it goes down to the north coast of Anchorage, which is kind of south central Alaska. Then across to the southern coast of Juneau. And so, Kristen, the first picture I sent you is the map of Alaska and where the triangle is through it.
You know what?
And so you can see those points.
I actually took a cruise once in Alaska, and it went right. So we went right into Seattle, and then we actually went into Juneau, and we definitely went through Anchorage. So, like, I really wonder if it kind of amazes me that this is, like, not really on the ocean, it's on land. So that makes
it's all on land.
That makes
so
me
that's
think
the difference.
Even more that, like, I was in this area. That kind of freaks me out. Why is it not on water?
Yeah, that's basically my next point is because, so as I mentioned, the Bermuda Triangle is over the ocean. And I said, you know, it's creepy because there is that deep, unexplored parts of the oceans where things can just disappear. But
this is
the Alaskan Triangle includes vast areas of unexplored wilderness with terrains that range from icy mountain peaks and mountain ranges, desolate tundras, which is just fucking ice, cold, nothing, and like forests that fucking stretch forever. So obviously this kind of terrain does not sound safe and has resulted in mysterious happenings like planes that go down and go missing, hikers go missing as well, and just as well as random tourists and locals just vanish. So I'll talk about a few aircraft disappearances real quick.
Okay. I don't know why seeing the photo just really geeks me out. Because, like, I don't know.
Because when it's over an ocean, you're like, yeah,
I
shit will disappear.
assumed that this was over an ocean. And I just see a piece of land and I'm like, that makes it worse. I need to take a bathroom break to, like, release the shit that's in my butthole right now.
The triangle does include rivers and lakes, of course, if that means anything. But it's definitely different than a whole triangle of ocean.
Yeah. Even if it's a mountain, it's just like, well, why would a hiker, like, go up that mountain? I mean, I get it, but, like, oh, it's just...
There's towns and shit, I think, in the, yeah. I mean, most of it is vastly treacherous terrain and unexplored, but I think on the edge points...
Like where it's
populated, like on the southern part, that's where you would drive through to get from Juneau to Alaska.
Yeah. Like, that's why I want to say, I think I have, whenever we docked and went into land, like, I would not be surprised if I stepped into a little bit of that territory.
Right. Ugh. And I will talk about a missing persons later who disappeared from, like, a place or a town.
Okay, I need more
in the middle of the fucking triangle. So
give me more.
Not to give anything away, but the Alaskan Triangle gained widespread national attention in 1972 when a small airplane belonging to U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs vanished somewhere in between Anchorage and Juneau.
Damn.
So I just thought of this now to maybe look up, like, the mileage in between the two cities, but I didn't. I mean, if you look at the map, it's not incredibly far, but I don't know
what I'm thinking of, like,
that means anyways.
At least it was, my mind is so fucked. I'm like, at least it was, like, a high enough official to where they would care to, you know, like, document it, because I could just imagine if it was, like, some random, they would just be like,
just wait.
Oh my god.
Because I don't know. This was in 1972, and certain aircraft things weren't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Anyways,
like people were
board the
still
plane-
fucking smoking on planes.
yeah. On board the plane, and this was a small passenger plane. I didn't get the type of plane, but there was only 4 people on board.
Oh,
so
shit. Really tiny.
on board the plane was Hale Boggs. As I mentioned, I believe he owned the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was at least a plane for him. I don't know. A congressman from Alaska named Nick Bejic, and an aide named Russell Brown, and their pilot, Don Johns. Johns is Gonz. I just think it's a cool name.
That is cool.
The disappearance caused one of the country's largest search and rescue operations to take place, which involved 50 civilian planes, 40 military aircrafts, and it lasted 39 days. And it spanned over the area of 32,000 square miles.
Never heard of them doing that for a civilian.
The search sadly resulted in 0 discoveries. No human remains, no wreckage, no debris.
Shit.
There is kind of a fun fact or silver lining that I said we'd kind of get to, I told you to just wait for. But after this little mishap, Congress passed a law which mandated emergency locator transmitters in all U.S. civilian aircrafts.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't necessarily a log, but we're kind of on the dot.
Yeah. I mean, we're still at this point, like, literally putting wills in vending machines, but we're on the right track. Okay, it's getting there. But yeah, it's just, I think it's funny, like sometimes the people that it takes to.
Right, like we say it all the time. Something bad or terrible or someone has to die. It has to happen before change comes from it.
I really like Morbid.
Whatever.
Yeah, Morbid are my favorite murder. I'm so sorry. They were my 2 favorites before I started a podcast. But one of them did an episode where they were saying that one of the planes that ended up getting bomb, I think like an explosive was on it before we checked for explosives and whatnot, and when it got shot down, it was 2 executives of like this big well-known company were on that. It was like the CEO and maybe like the president and vice president or something like that, and all of them were on the plane, and a lot of executives, and a lot of them died. And after that plane crash, they were like, oh well, you can't have this amount of executives riding on the same plane because this may happen. And then like the company kind of went into shambles for a little bit. But it's very much like we were just, we thought flying was cool. We didn't know what could happen, and we just kind of were like, yeah, let's go off and let's smoke in these planes.
Let's fly high, baby.
Light them fires in that airtight controlled cabin, baby.
I mean, I'm sure vaping would be okay nowadays, even they tell you not to do it.
It'll, like,
but on private jets, if you kind of like didn't have rules or flight attendants, or I mean, you still have
smoke blunts all the time.
Serve people who serve you. Anyways, what I'm saying is, I'm sure vaping is like really okay.
Yeah, because smoking blunts on private jets is still okay technically if you have a cool enough pilot.
If you're freaking,
if you have enough money, anything is okay, really.
So what you're saying is, I just need to get enough money.
So what you're saying is, we just yes. Yes.
They aren't good for the planet, but they're fun to do maybe once. Although the disappearance of Hale Boggs, along with his not crew members, but other passengers plus his pilot, and although it gained recognition and widespread interest or acknowledgement, I guess you could say, to the Alaskan Triangle, it wasn't the first aircraft to vanish in the Triangle of Alaska, nor was it the last.
Damn.
In 1950, which is 70-ish
years ago.
22 years before the Hale-Boggs plane went down.
Yes, that is harder.
Sorry.
Harder math. I can't help you there. I was like, I got you from 50 to 20, girl. I can do that. I can do that for you.
In 1950, a military aircraft holding 44 passengers so 44 passengers, that's what headlines said. So then I imagine the number was even more with pilot and air crew, because I also read that it was an Air Force aircraft, which means there were multiple more crew members on board aside from the 44 passengers. I just didn't get specifics on the total number of people on board. Anyways, this aircraft with the 44 plus passengers disappeared without a trace within the triangle. In 1990, a Cessna airplane vanished along with its pilot and 4 passengers. There was an instant where an aircraft vanished and wreckage did end up being found. So just a little positive note, not every single case of tragedy and vanishment stays at least vanished. In 1947, a plane from the British South American Airways disappeared en route from Buenos Aires, and it was lost and unheard of for 50 years.
Shit.
Until 1998, when 2 Argentinian hikers were ascending Mount Tupungato, came across the plane's wreckage.
That's crazy.
It basically...
Sorry, that's crazy how it's an Alaskan Bermuda Triangle, but a place from Buenos Aires, because I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's like a place in Argentina.
Oh, me too.
It's the capital of Argentina. That's literally, and then Argentinian hikers went upon the wreckage. I think that's just such a weird coincidence, because it is a weird coincidence. This is Alaska. Why is that it's such a big world, but it's so small.
Right. That is when I was typing it, I remember double checking to make sure I was typing it right, because I saw Argentinian hikers even though the flight came from Argentina, and I was like,
yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, that is such a weird coincidence that it just so happens to be Argentinian hikers happening upon an Argentinian plane or whatever it was.
Right. And just to note, I forgot where the plane was going, somewhere else. Somewhere else.
To
it
another
wasn't going
place.
To Alaska. It was just flying over or through. So it basically seemed as if the plane crashed into a vertical glacier, which caused an avalanche to bury the plane's wreckage within minutes, which makes sense. I mean, I can only imagine on a foggy day.
Yeah.
A vertical glacier. It's the fucking Titanic in the sky.
Holy shit. As a pilot, that is the last thing you expect. Is that a glacier? What the fuck? Oh my god, I couldn't.
Well, I mean,
imagine you're fucking flying and you're like, is that an iceberg?
I hear stories of military pilots. They literally train how to pull their plane upright, or pull it / fly it upright, because a lot of times you can come up to an unexpected mountain, glacier, whatever it is, and the only option basically is to try and go upward.
Yeah,
and
a mountain, I guess, is more. It's just the glacier throws me off so hard.
I know.
I'm just poor people. They never saw it coming.
Right.
So unaware.
Right?
I could imagine a mountain, but as soon as I see a thing of ice, I'm like, and that would be my last thought. That would be it. Burr. She looks cold.
So although we do come across answers for some of the strange and mysterious disappearances sometimes. Vanishing without a trace is still a very common occurrence within the Alaskan Triangle, not only with aircrafts, but as I mentioned earlier, with people as well. The rate of reported missing people in Alaska is about twice the national average. Specifically in the Alaskan Triangle, 16,000 people have vanished since 1988. And, you know, when I said twice the national average, that could be just in the triangle as well. I couldn't remember if I read if it specified.
Like probably worse. Why does no one look into that?
It's basically, God, I don't even know if I should try and remember how the stats worked out. It was like per 1,000 people, 4 people are missing.
I don't like those odds.
Okay, because you're more into math and stats, and so I couldn't remember. I mean, I know that's what I read, but I don't know.
It's a lot of people, don't get me wrong. But
because also their populations aren't as high.
But like and I'm putting, like, if you were living in a town, easily 1,000 people, you know everyone. So for 4 of those people in that small ass town that you know to go missing.
Yeah, true. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, even if the population is like 50,000, 4 is a lot. It like, well, you look at towns that are like less than 5,000, and it's like everyone knows everyone. So you think of 1,000.
No, good point.
1/5 of that, like, how is the army not involved in this? That's what makes me think that, like, the fucking government knows that something is up, and they just...
Well, there's an Air Force base in either it's Anchorage or Fairbanks.
Honestly, sketchier.
My dad was born there.
Sketchier.
Because his dad was in the Air Force, and that's where they were stationed.
Nope, because they know shit's going on, probably, and that's why
they have to.
That's why they put an Air Force base there. Or that's why they put... Especially Air Force, if you think Air Force in that particular one, why? Because so many flights go missing in that area, and they need to fly to figure out what's going on. Send their little...
That's probably also how they had access to that...
I'm sure there's some, like, really logical reason, but conspiracy theories are based upon, like...
Okay.
Oh, you should. You should. I'm so in on this.
Military presence tied to the weird and mysterious and the paranormal, extraterrestrial, not interests, but base locations.
Yes.
And locations where there are hot spots or
I think Alaska
triangles.
In general is just such a hot spot. It's really, like, we need to investigate that.
Well, and there's a triangle. It's a hot spot. Like,
I'm not okay.
And I will get into a few theories later, but
I'm not okay. Yeah, you got to do a part 2 because I'm not done talking about this. Okay.
Shauna Oman was in Fairbanks visiting a friend on June 3rd, 2019, but never made it home. Okay. I didn't get where home was, but she never made it.
Yeah.
Her roommate reported her missing 6 days after she hadn't returned home.
Oh, shit.
Her cell phone did ping to a tower on June 4th in Eagle River. So a day after she was supposed to be visiting her friend. But nothing else pretty much after that. So police dogs and a helicopter were used in her search, but she was never found. Frank Minano was reported missing from Nenana on August 17th, 2020. Nenana, Alaska, obviously, is at the heart of the Alaskan Triangle. He was 69, and his family told authorities that they believed he had just gotten lost in the woods. And so this is the one I mentioned earlier, where this is obviously a town or a place, a combined place and town. I was like, plown.
Girl.
This is This is obviously at least a place with homes or something where people live, but it's in the middle of the triangle. So there's shit throughout, although there is a shit ton of it is unexplored.
I
think the more dense and vast areas.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, when people buy the houses, the realtors are like, oh, by the way, you initial right here, this is on the Alaska Bermuda Triangle.
I wonder.
That has to be in the renter's clause.
When I talked about the San Luis Valley, when they sold homes in certain areas, realtors were required to tell them, I'm like, oh, by the way, this is a UFO hotspot. You gotta fucking,
by the way, the area that you're about to move into, no big deal. But some people do go missing, okay? No, deep breaths, honey. Do you need a free bottle of wine? But some people do go missing, okay?
Well, this one kind of gets me because he was... Okay, so Frank was 69. And as I mentioned, his parents told authorities that they believe he just got lost in the woods. But he was apparently a traditional educator and mentor of the Alaskan culture, respecting the land, hunting, and subsistence living. So it sounded like he was pretty experienced and knowledgeable on what it meant to forage and live off the Alaskan land, basically.
To be a mountain man.
Or a fucking snowman.
A Yeti man.
He may have been a little aged, 69. People very well suffer from aging side effects at that age. Everyone's different.
He's seasoned.
Yeah. So that could have, maybe he did just become not as experienced because of his age and got lost. But maybe he fucking didn't, okay?
Yeah. 69 is not that old, okay? You make it to that year and then you message us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just speak from both sides because my mom is that age and she has, like, bad memory loss. But there are plenty of fucking 75-year-olds who
My grandma told me that
fine.
She was in her mid-70s and I was shocked. I said, I thought you were still 62. I mean, I get that my grandma's getting old, but it's really hard for me to accept that
people just
old.
age differently, and it's totally normal to age differently. So we don't know what his situation was like. We could say that it could have been a factor either way. So, but it has been over a year, and there has been no sign of him. And that is the photo of the guy that I sent. I already said that, but not of the guy, but of Frank Manano. Hundreds of search and rescue missions are conducted each year that rarely result in finding bodies dead or alive. In 2007, there were 42 missions performed that were related to overdue hikers, 85 done related to overdue boaters, and 100 related to overdue snow machine operators. And that doesn't include how many were conducted on just missing persons.
I'm actually not okay with that at all. This is a state that is not that populated, and for you to have said those numbers, I loved Alaska. I used to say I wanted to move to Alaska. I joked about when I'm old.
No, literally, if you fence off your cabin maybe and never leave your property.
Okay,
besides to go to the store 2 times a year.
So why do you say that?
Well, you can't even go to the store some places. They get groceries flown in.
Well, there are some places where it's not even like fucking daytime year round. You get like 6 months of dark, but I'm okay with that. I have depression, bro. What is taking the sun gonna do for me? I imagine not a lot. I think I would actually thrive in the darkness. I get most of my productivity done at night, so.
You get like cool glowing eyes,
Yeah.
super pale skin.
Maybe I'll grow
You
some
grow fangs.
Yeah. That's like actually the one side effect I would want to happen. You know, like as long as I have a weed dealer and a wine dealer in the town, I don't need much of anything else. I will make it through like years of winter. I'm ready. I don't even need 6 months.
Many a time.
I will make it
through
like
the seasons.
I will make it 3 years, not even 6 months, bitch. I will last years. Years. Don't even need to check on me.
I'll check on you. I don't know if I'd visit.
You'll send
I'll
me
be on my Alaskan cruise
some
waving,
snail mail.
"Hi, Kristen."
I'll pop a bottle of champagne on your boat. You go, Sarah.
I would want to visit though, to be honest. Let's be honest.
I would make friends with the, demons over my fence in time for when you visited. Like, you could also make friends with them. Yeah. And then
If Blake, so I don't want to say if Blake, because Blake will get his pilot's license, but if he ever gets to the point where we can just fly planes wherever, just us two, I could make him fly into Alaska, but like maybe not over the triangle.
Not over. I will make sure that whatever property in Alaska I buy, it is outside of that triangle, because this downright scared me from
maybe a few miles away just for fun.
Yeah, it's just so we could like drive to the edge and be like, ooh, if
like
we
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
If we step in, we might get abducted. Who knows? Might get anal tonight.
So we assume that natural occurrences such as getting lost and succumbing to the terrain and the weather are huge factors in these cases. But aside from that, the numbers of missing people in the Alaskan Triangle and Alaska as a whole are just jaw-dropping. Many people also don't reason on the sensible or scientific side. They believe the local lore and the theories that come along as well. The native Alaskan Tlingit Indians, indigenous obviously, who live near Juneau, have even integrated the mystery of the Alaskan Triangle into their religious culture. Not necessarily mentions of the triangle itself, but reasoning as to why maybe the disappearances happen. They believe an evil spirit named Kushtaka, who is a man-otter hybrid. It roughly translates to land otter man, captures people who have drowned or gotten lost and whisks them away to his spiritual realm to never be seen again. It is basically the Bigfoot lore or legend of the Alaskan Triangle, and it's said that the Kushtaka will shapeshift into the form of a relative or vulnerable child, basically someone to like get your attention, to lure victims to a river, to then tear them to shreds or turn them into another Kushtaka.
But why an otter?
I have no idea. So we can blame the Kushtaka or deceptive glaciers. Many glaciers appear to be solid ice, but are actually formed and made of honeycombed ice like caves and chambers. So below the surface, it's not just a full-on solid glacier. It's honeycombed of all of these fucking chambers.
Oh my god, it's like Minecraft.
These chambers can be larger than houses, the size of an office. They can be big but huge. Even.
Oh my god.
They can be small, but
so what
they can
if
also
it's
be
like a
huge.
frozen otter creature? Oh my god. Okay, I thought I was just worrying
Because
about
then they can like crawl
Bigfoot.
around and be all, yeah.
So now you're telling me I have to worry about an otter too?
Right. So along with the falling snow, the other treacherous, weather-related
Incidents?
like not in a situation, scenarios, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why can I think of the word? Anyways, along with the falling snow and along with the terrain, it's just a recipe for disaster. In one of the articles, I read something about how, we talk about vanishing into thin air when it really just, within these cases, it can mean buried by nature. Another theory, which I think is interessante, are energy vortexes. So apparently, it's said that there are energy vortexes throughout the triangle or in certain spots. These vortexes they are basically concentrated areas, like I said, specific areas where there is intense energy created by electromagnetic currents. These vortexes are said to be common around the world in other famous strange places like the Bermuda Triangle, Stonehenge, and the Egyptian pyramids. So vortexes, or these specific energy vortexes, are said to either spin clockwise or counterclockwise, which creates either positive or negative effects on people. It affects people physically, mentally, and emotionally, positively or negatively. Positive vortexes spin upwards and in a clockwise position, and they are conducive to healing energies. These type of positive vortexes are actively sought out by people who want to feel inspired or changed. They're said that like these vortexes help you meditate, just positive energy. On the other hand, negative vortexes spin downwards and counterclockwise, which creates a depleting energy and drains anything around it of their positive energy. So negative vortexes cause depression, disorientation, confusion, nightmares, visual and audio hallucinations. And so these negative vortexes are the ones we need to worry about, especially with people disappearing and shit.
Okay, so are the negative and positive vortexes mapped on a mark? Because I think that there is a negative vortex currently in my room sucking up all of my energy.
Over Helotes, Texas.
over
I'm
in
like,
Helotes.
she doesn't live there, never mind.
But yeah, there's one in my bedroom in Texas that is currently consuming my life, and I'm just wondering if they're marked. Or,
I haven't seen a marked map of them. That would be very interesting.
Right?
And maybe they're in specific areas where there's that certain amount of electromagnetic technology, energy. But I do wonder if they, swirl and move around, but stay
I
in
just
a certain
wonder
location.
if it's something
so that's
that
why people are like sorting them out. I'm like,
we always talk
around.
about how energy has like these electric waves, and I just wonder if that's something that we can ever track.
Yeah,
one
well,
day.
and that's another thing that kind of reminds me of my San Luis Valley case is the hot pockets of UFO sightings or UFA sightings happened around the geothermal areas where there's a lot of geothermal pools of water. And so this kind of thing just kind of reminds me of that. And it really kind of would make sense that weird shit happens where there are high energy levels Apparently there is a show on Discovery Plus called The Alaska Triangle that attempts to unlock the mysteries of the Alaskan interior, but I didn't watch it. I said LOL because I typed it. Because I don't have Discovery Plus. But there are multiple books written on the Alaskan Triangle, or AKA whatever they want to call it. I didn't write them down just because there were kind of a lot, like a handful of books that I noticed, and even different little docu-series aside from the one on Discovery Plus. Like the History Channel, I think, did one, but it was like the Australian, or like not the US. Anyways, if there's just way more information is what I'm getting at out there if y'all want to check it out. So
no, I get it.
Then
I get
anyways,
it.
yeah. To end it off, I only touched a few cases or stories about people who disappeared in the triangle, but there are thousands more.
I want more. You're going to make it a series.
Yeah. But if you ever come across someone who is deceased or disoriented or lost or missing, or if you are ever searching for a missing persons, contact Alaska's Missing Persons Clearinghouse, which falls under the Alaska's Bureau of Investigation. They track all missing persons cases that are reported within Alaska. So keyword reported. They do have to be reported. But, like I said, if you come across anything like remains or any human
big or
alive
small,
or
anything,
deceased,
even if you think you're
any
crazy,
kind of, if it's
you're not.
If it's like a backpack buried in the snow, call the authorities because it could belong to a missing persons. I only covered a few because of our time thing, but there are literally thousands upon thousands missing in Alaska. And so the Alaska's Missing Persons Clearinghouse actually has a list on their homepage of their website of people, their home location, the last contact of them, all the reported missing persons.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool just to see that on their homepage, in your face, page after page after page.
Wow.
So yeah, to end it off, bitches, please be careful out there.
Bitches.
Just please be careful out there. You never know what you're going to run into, especially if you're going out into crazy cold terrain that, there's so many unexpected, there's just so much that could go wrong. So just be careful. And that was the Alaskan Triangle.
Well, that is a mystery that you need to do again because I'm not done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It definitely leaves you there's still so much information,
I need to hear more.
Missing persons, and questions around it where it could be continued. So
no, I say you're doing another one.
Yeah, I'm down. So y'all stay tuned. Kristen, though, I'm excited to hear about yours.
Until next time, though. So I really, really wish I remember where I got this story from because I know that I read it from somewhere not that long ago and it blew my mind, and then I was kind of confused and stuck on what I was going to do for this story, and then I remembered this and I was like, how the fuck could I not forget? So how the fuck could I forget? Anywho, so
yay. Why do you call it a drunk mystery in history?
Exactly. So for this mystery, we are going to be talking about the mystery on why the fuck no one ever told me this story when I was drinking Jameson Whiskey.
I've drank loads of that. We used to drink that when we first became friends. Remember the first time we hung out, you showed up with a bottle of JMO.
Yeah, and except for those who don't know, we used to be whiskey gals. don't know who hurt us in the past, but we fucking like use.
Oh, I do.
Well, I mean, yeah, it still kind of stings a bit, but we don't cover it up with whiskey anymore because what the fuck. I can't believe I used to drink that. I was the pick-me girl. I would go to bars and be like, yeah, I'll take a double of whiskey on the rocks.
Ooh, I was a Jameson and ginger ale girl just because when I was living in Los Angeles, like a friend got me into it, kind of. Yeah. So I was like, ew, you're so cool. I'm going to drink that. And it was not bad. It tasted good.
Yeah, so. I mean, like, I definitely for 2 years, I was living off the Jameson, which is why I'm just, like, knowing me and knowing now what I know about Jameson, I'm just like, how the fuck could I not know? I'm glad
I don't drink it anymore. Even though I have no idea what you're about to say.
Yeah, so if you're drinking Jameson, enjoy it because this is going to be the last time that you are going to want to drink it after this story. Happy New Year's.
Why do I have goosebumps? I'm like, it's liquor.
Yeah, I'm like, so trigger warning, it involves a child, and that is all I'm going to say about that. So, a little bit about Jameson Whiskey, if you did not know. Sorry, yeah, it's Drunk History Mystery where we're going to get hysterical. So,
hysterical or
historical? I don't know what you're getting with this podcast. Okay. So, our homeboy, our man, John Jameson, was born
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
This name is my name too. But yes, so the origin of that began in 1740 in Alloa, Scotland. So he was actually Mr. John working as a lawyer. Hi, Daddy. When he met his wife, Margaret Haig. Now, when the pair fell in love, I'm sure that Margaret was like, oh, hot lawyer, I have fucking made it. What she did not know, though...
Give me a baby, Daddy.
Right? But what she did not know, though, was that her father, who was John Haig, for us non-Scotlands, he just so happened to be one of...
Scotland's?
I don't even think we get anyone from Scotland, but...
Non-Scot.
If you're a Scot and you listen, you may know the name of... That's not even a Scottish accent. Sorry, I'm just embarrassing myself.
I think that was hardly Australian.
It was hardly British, hon. So, for this guy, John Haig, he just so happened to be the largest... maybe not the largest, but he was the most famous whiskey distillers in Scotland at the time. So by 1774, John Jameson would quit his jobs at being a hotshot lawyer and decide to settle down and begin his career in whiskey distillation. So he would actually begin working for the Carnival Lodge number 202, which belonged to the Dublin Freemasons. It sounds fancy, so I'm sure it means something to someone who knew what that was. But
well, the Freemasons, yeah, it's like
Freemasons sounds familiar.
It's an organization of, like, you could say it might be a cult. Yeah. You can only join if you're, and I'm pretty sure it's all male. You can only join if your dad was a Freemason or your grandfather was a Freemason. So it runs through families.
Well, they also did have Ubu's Bucko Roonies. Ubu's Buckos. They had a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
they're members.
Yeah.
I
mean, Jameson is still prevalent to this day. If you don't think that they had a lot of money back then
then they have a lot of money right now.
Exactly. So by 1780, John Jameson would begin his Irish whiskey distillation career by founding the coined Jameson Irish Whiskey Distillery in Dublin in 1810. And
Nice.
yeah, John Jameson would, spend the next 41 years of his life perfecting and doing the same old shit over and over again, distilling whiskey.
Taste testing his whiskey.
Yes, he would. And in 1851, he would go and pass on his hard work off to his son, John Jameson II. And, John Jameson II would work on his distillery. He would find a wife of his own. He would gain children of his own, and he would keep the family business alive. It was even by the turn of the 19th century that Jameson Irish whiskey had made its way to become the second largest producer in Ireland and one of the largest producers in the world, producing more than 1 million gallons of that sweet, sweet, anger-inducing, penis-deflating liquid gold that we love to consume.
Stomach-warming, throat-gagging gold.
Whiskey dick in my mouth.
Make my cheeks red, make me black out gold.
Smells like I want to punch you in the fucking face.
I will freaking go off on you, gold.
I will yell at you for 20 minutes. Try me.
And you won't understand a thing I say. Boom.
Honey bunches of oats, you will not. So, I now bring you to the historical part of our drunk mystery and history. So please do not try to fall asleep. I will do my best. Now, while James Jameson is getting his Jameson on, and James Jameson II, and he's making babies and whatnot, there is a little bit of tension that is going on down under. And I'm sorry I misled you. It is not Australia down under. It's down under south, more particularly Africa.
Because still down under.
Yeah, it is technically south. It's exactly south. I looked on a map just to make sure that I would not sound stupid when I said that. Because
do my jokes make sense?
Do my jokes make sense? I made sure before I started this podcast. Do not double check me, Karen. So, for Africa in particular, they were in the midst of what was described as the Madison War. I'm not a historian. Don't come for me. I read this off of one article, and I'm telling it to you drunkenly. So take that as you will. But there is a war raging on, basically right now, between the Madist Sundanese, which is a religious leader under the name Muhammad Ahmad bin Abd Allah, who was pronouncing during the time that he was the Mahid, or the guided one of Islam. And he was basically fighting with the force of Cannibalism of Egypt. I'm saying a lot of words wrong, but it's basically the British forces were fighting against this guided one of Mahid. And this was causing a lot of tension in Africa. And during this time, it makes it seem like a lot of Africa is not claimed as African soil. Again, I'm not a historian, but from what I say, there's a lot of land to be colonized. So it kind of seems like it's very much free terrain. So there's this
over it, yeah.
So there's this huge war going on. They're kind of fighting over for land. By 1885, the Madis would actually capture the city of Khartoum, and this would actually cause the collapse of Sudan, as well as the Madis cutting off the extreme southern province of a town called Equatoria. Now, the issue with this was that there was a man by the name of Amin Pasha who had actually been appointed governor of Equatoria, and he seemed to be on the side of the British, who the British did not just win Equatoria. Oh, sorry, my tape is falling. They did not just win Equatoria land, so he's kind of stuck in the middle of I'm on this side, but the other side just won, and now they're controlling my land. So Amin is thankfully able to still send letters out to British forces and whatnot while this is going on. And he would even inform them that by February of 1886, the Egyptian government would actually have plans to just outright abandon Equatoria. And by July 1886, he would actually try to get the British government to annex Equatoria, though by this time the British government was kind of like, no, we don't want to do that. But the people of Britain, or at least the people who were on that side, were more than willing to help. So by this time, you have a guy by the name of William Mackinnon, who was a Scottish businessman and philanthropist who had been invested in a lot of colonial ventures. So when William decides that he wants to help Emin out, he decides that he is going to plan a venture. So he begins a little bit beforehand. So in November 1885, he decides that he would begin a venture to help this governor out who is stuck in the land of Equatoria. So he would approach a man named Henry Morton Stanley, who I did send a photo of you, or I did. Henry.
You sent him a photo of me?
Yep. Named Henry Morton Stanley. So he was a Welsh journalist, explorer, soldier, colonial administrator, author, as well as a politician. Like, the man went under many hats. And he basically began this idea that he would start this huge relief expedition. So during the time, like I said, Africa is not really what we think of as Africa today. So during the time, it was actually very common for wealthy families to fund any type of expedition and go into Africa in order to look for gold, for precious stones, or even new land for them to colonize. So
hashtag, have you ever seen, this Tarzan? Are they in Africa or are they somewhere else?
That's what I would imagine, is that they're like in
because
Africa.
Like, they were on this fancy expedition that obviously these rich families not only funded but were a part of.
Yeah.
And fucking Henry Morton Stanley kind of looks like
the dad.
They
all
Jane,
look like that.
Right?
They all look like that. It
True.
is, but it's just
white
like
hair, mustache.
But it's very like, if Tarzan's family was traveling across the sea and just so happened to land in Africa, like, yeah, they probably had really naughty fucking intentions. Like, just saying.
They did.
Just saying. So this expedition in particular was advertised as more of a relief trip that was meant to bring supplies to Amin and Equatoria. So when they advertised this to the wealthy families, they said, oh, we're going to be doing good for it's like a mission trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's your back in the day mission trip. So together,
been on one of those.
Yeah, they organized the Amin Pasha Relief Committee, and in total they raised around 32,000 pounds. I'm sorry I did not convert that, but I mean, that's kind of a lot of money even back then. So
yeah,
it's a lot.
It'd probably be triple at least.
Yeah. So Henry Stanley, the guy that was meant to lead the expedition, was actually employed to someone during the time that he had agreed to this. So he was employed to a man named Leopold II of Belgium. And the only reason that Henry got permission to go on this expedition was that he promised Leopold II that Stanley would actually take the longer route that would lead them up the Congo River. I don't know if that's why the events transpired the way that they do, but either way, it's an interesting fact. So it was there that the public statement was made by Henry, so it is really important to note this. What Henry is saying while he is talking to London, saying why he is going on this expedition. So Henry Stanley declares, the expedition is non-military. That is to say, its purpose is to not fight, destroy, or waste. Its Its purpose is to save, to relieve distress, to carry comfort. Amin Pasha may be a good man, a brave officer, a gallant fellow deserving of a strong effort of relief, but I decline to believe, and have not been able to gather from anyone in England an impression that his life, or the lives of few hundreds under him, would overbalance the lives of thousands of natives and the devastation of immense tracts of country which an expedition strictly military would naturally cause. The expedition is mere powerful caravan, armed with rifles for the purpose of ensuring the safe conduct of ammunition to Amin Pasha, and for the more certain protection of his people during the retreat home. But it also has means of purchasing the friendships of tribes and chiefs, of buying food and paying its way liberally. This is what Henry Morton Stanley quoted in Stanley's Adventures in the Wilds of Africa, that was lent to the public of London after his expedition. I'm saying this because it is very important for you to keep this in mind, the words that I just said. Maybe replay back 30 seconds, hear it again if I read it right. Yeah?
Well, yeah, a few keywords stuck out with me, so we'll see.
So this
how
relief
those connect.
Oh yeah, girl, you. So this relief committee received over 400 applicants of eager applicants ready for an expedition.
Let's go, bitch.
And one of them happens to be the son of John Jameson II, whose name was Jameson.
Jameson the Third. So James.
They switched
Jameson?
it up. It's James now. So James Jameson, the grandson of John Jameson the First,
right? Okay.
who founded Jameson Irish Whiskey.
Jameson Whiskey.
Just wait. Oh my god.
He has a killer stash.
Okay, and like Jane,
His hairline, don't know. His part, don't know.
So like James Jameson's wife comes in later and she like defends him, but she like wasn't there, and I'm like, with a mustache like that, I would have defended him too, hunty. Handlebars like that, you gotta ride it to death. Totally joking. You don't. You
almost spat out my wine.
you don't do what you learn from us. Okay, we never said we were.
But
do you
see his fucking hairline? It almost looks like he has a scar there, so I shouldn't judge. But like how it goes back, literally.
Oh, well, that's why he has the mustache to distract you from the hairline.
He might have something going on, so I shouldn't judge, but
it might be
pretty wild.
Might be genetics.
There's ways to work around
just be a really bad comb over.
He's like embracing it.
He's like, I'm not ready to shave off my 4 strands of hair, okay, Sarah?
Okay, James Jameson.
So,
okay, sorry.
No. We need it.
I just really had to like eye in on his portrait there.
No, so that's
because the mustache, it made me like look at the mustache, and then I looked at everything else.
So that's our homeboy James Jameson. So the expedition for this relief campaign would begin in 1888, and by June of 1888, James Jameson would actually be in command of the rear column of the expedition, which had found its way into Ribaruba, which was also known as Ribakiba. I'm probably saying those wrong, but it is what is now known as the Lakundu in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So it's that general area is what I am talking about.
Cool.
So this area was originally known as a really famous stop along the Lualaba River, which was known as a really famous ivory and slave trade route, as well as being a region that was really well known for practicing Cannibalism.
Gotta love the indigenous practices.
Oh, gotta love our native
Nowadays,
roots.
it's horrific. But the indigenous practices, gotta respect it to a certain extent.
It's like the Green River, whatever, Green Island. Oh, that horror movie where they just all get eaten when they're trying to learn about the native tribes, and then they go to the native tribe, and the native tribe's trying to eat them, and they're like, we're just trying to learn about your culture.
Let me fucking
I'm gonna be a part of your culture.
And podcast you in our experiences. Sorry.
So in his group was a man by the name of Tupu Tip, which was also known as Tipu, which I will be calling him as.
Tip.
And
he looks like a fucking badass.
He was something because he was a local slave trader and local fixer. So one thing about the slave trade that a lot of people tend to forget is that it was not just the white man, but the fellow black man that would also participate in enslaving, trading, and selling their people.
Well, yeah, like not only were people of color involved in being like coordinating the slave trades, but you have to remember families of color would sell their children as well. So
and
it goes
become
many
very,
ways.
very,
and I'm not
very
saying
rich
it's their
off of
fault. Like they felt like they needed to at the time.
No,
Whatever.
some of them were fucking evil. And
I know.
Don't cut it for what it was.
I know. I'm like I play all sides. Okay?
Yeah, no.
I'm
well,
fluid.
fucking a human being is a human being, no matter what color. And unfortunately, there are some people that just see a dollar sign, and that is
Tipu Tip was trying to save his own ass. Okay.
He was either I don't know what he was trying to do. We'll get into that. But Tipu Tip, he
and
could
also
have
sorry, one more thing about his picture. Like whatever he's wearing, I would say t-shirt, but they didn't really wear those back then. Like his bib or whatever he's wearing under his coat.
He looks majestic.
It looks like a bottle of whiskey. Like it looks like a bottle of liquor.
Would not like be far off. But I mean, like, I looked at him and I was like, he looks majestic as fuck. Like,
he does, and
I would follow him.
He just looks like he does fucking business, and that's not like a pun towards the slave trade. That is just like,
it just sucks because he looks lavish, and you know how he got his money. You know how he got
right.
Those
he's
things
holding.
that he's
is that
wearing.
like a cigar he's holding in his right hand?
It's
like holding it like a fucking cane, but it's not.
Yeah, I haven't seen the. Second, where's my phone?
I don't know, and he's just like, yeah, I'll give you 35 minutes to take this portrait because it took forever back then, and then I'm out. My people need me.
Yeah, it's literally like
I got the next shoot to go to.
Yeah. I got more people to sell. Y'all don't know my schedule. But yeah, it just, I don't know. It sucks. It was while in this area and while he was with his newfound friend Tipu that he would describe to Tipu his Jameson's longing interest in seeing the practice of cannibalism firsthand.
Seeing it?
And that's when a sinister plan started to unfold. And this is why you should no longer drink Jameson whiskey unless you're doing a pickleback.
I know you said it involved cannibalism, but I was not like really expecting this. Okay.
I scream. I'm screaming because so our homeboy Tippo would speak with the local chiefs of the village and basically was told that if Tippo was serious, he better buy a slave. So Jameson did just that. He would pay 6 handkerchiefs as the chief brought him Jameson's new slave. A 10-year-old girl. The following events that I am about to describe are a retelling from Jameson's diary, as well as his wife and a translator's account of the events.
Ugh.
The wife was not there. The wife is
Right.
retelling it from a letter, which I will get into later. But the translator, who was there, whose name was Asad Farhan, would say in an affidavit, which actually appeared in the New York Times on November 14th of 1890, would state that once the girl was presented to the villagers, the chief would say that this is a present from the white man who wishes to see her eaten. She would then be tied to a tree while the natives began to sharpen their knives.
Raw.
When they were done sharpening their knives, it was described that one man would approach her before stabbing her twice in the belly. It was then in Jameson's diary that it would be described that havoc would begin, with 3 men running forward and beginning to slice the girl up, with the climax arriving when her head was finally detached from her body. And I'm sorry, this is where the trigger warning comes in. I'm so sorry. I'm really fucking bad at that. It was written that no piece of this girl remained, as each man went to the river to wash his piece of her. And then they went back to cook and consume the pieces of this 10-year-old girl that James Jameson, the grandson of Jameson Irish Whiskey Distillery,
Paid to have seen eaten.
yes.
God.
Even more chilling, something that really fucked me up and I thought about for a second, so now y'all are going to have to too, was the fact that during this massacre, it was described that the girl never uttered a sound. It was described by the translator that she would look from left to right, seemingly looking for help, though none came. But from Jameson's account, it seemed like she seemingly knew what was going to happen and took it, not making a sound until she was stabbed.
Yeah, because she probably grew up watching people
And that's something
being
that
eaten and sacrificed.
yeah, and it's something that really points it out, and it's so fucked up. Is it is known that this region does practice cannibalism.
Right.
It's unknown how openly, but it's enough that there's rumor that it's practiced. So,
And I noticed how you say the men approached her to cut off slices. The men went to go wash them off in the river.
I did not
and then
read and
cook
hear
them.
about a woman doing anything.
And so maybe their wives and children got to eat what they cut off, but it seems like as maybe because the sacrificial child was female, maybe they turned to females more often. I mean, that's an assumption, obviously, because you didn't state any
But
fact
it's
regarding
not
that.
far off, because I could even see in old-timey, I guess you could say like cultures that the male is higher valued than a female.
Right.
I know in
Like they
some
keep a few
cultures
around
it's
to
not,
reproduce, but otherwise,
yeah,
women are
they're fucking
useless.
gone. I mean, like a 10-year-old child you were giving away, that says something. It doesn't, it says something about the culture behind the village that you're willing to offer a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
It also says a lot that a fucking white man is willing to like pay 6 handkerchiefs and that we're willing to even throw the value of 6 handkerchiefs onto a life. But it is just like everyone in this is accountable, even from the translator, even from, because he's like, I saw all this carnage happen. Well, bitch, I don't see you at any point stepping in to stop it. I mean, like, I
He would
guess
have been fucking eaten too.
yeah. And like at the same time, like I wouldn't step in because yeah, you'd be next on the plate. But it's just it's so gory and it's so gritty. I really don't know how this isn't like more widely known. I really don't know where I got this from, but I was shocked when I read it. And I just learned this like not even a year ago. It was like 3 months ago.
Holy shit.
Shooketh. If this didn't piss you off, it gets worse. Because, not only did Jameson, pay 6 handkerchiefs to get a 10-year-old girl killed, he took sketches while it happened.
Okay.
It was even said that once he went back to his tent after the events transpired, that he turned those sketches into watercolor paintings. I feel bad, but I really did try to see one of these paintings. Could not.
I would want to be honest.
One of the last photo, it is the last photo that I sent you, is the photo that is often tied with the Jameson scandal, but it is not the painting that he obviously did. And I was
right.
I was just talking to someone about this of I know it's so fucked and I shouldn't want this art, but I just kind of need it, kind of want it.
Yeah, all these guys and men just chilling, passing around.
Yeah.
Pieces of her ass cut off.
That's what it looks like, but I can't tell.
The back end of her is
but
not
it looks
normal.
Like that's just something being started behind her. I don't know. I can't really tell.
Oh, no, you're right, because there's a woman sitting on the ground eating
right
something, and she has this wooden feather thing on her back, and that's what I saw. Yeah.
I don't know why this photo is really tied with this case, but when I Google this case, this photo tends to pop up. Though I know that this photo, because I'm probably going to put it up here and on Instagram and Twitter and whatever, it's not the photo that is tied with the sketches that Jameson made.
It's just inspired by the story from someone else. Yeah.
But in total, it was said that 6 sketches or paintings were made by James Jameson. The first sketch would show the girl actually being led to the tree, while the second painting would indicate the stabbing that had happened to her. The third sketch was described to show the actual dissection, while the last 3 sketches were shown or were said to be of the men carrying the various parts of her body to the river.
Ugh. I get it. Exploration. But no.
Cannibalism is just... There's no way that you can be civilized after hearing something like that. And I think
and there are still parts of the world where cannibalism is a thing.
Yeah.
And
it's
I'm
very
not
much
looking down on their
upon.
cultures. But, nowadays in present day, you wouldn't go on an exploration to visit that culture to learn about it and take pictures.
Yeah.
It's simply unethical and not allowed, because a lot of times those kind of villages or populations, they don't want people to know where they are. They don't want people visiting them.
And it's even the fact that you as a human from this, you're not from the capsule that they are from. You are suscepting this culture to so many diseases, to so many ailments that they have not been exposed to.
You're tainted.
Yeah, you're potentially talking about wiping out an entire culture that we have no idea of how they sustain themselves, how they live, anything about that. So it's just so much more than that. The act of cannibalism is so grotesque, and we think of it and we're like, how can cultures do that? But we have to think, for a long time in society, human sacrifice,
it has been
cannibalism,
common and
prevalent, and it's still I think we would be shocked to see how prevalent it still is in today's time. But of course, when you think of it in today's society, or if you were to throw it into modern day United States, people would freak out. And it's very much seen as a sign of you're uncivilized, you're going back to these uncivilized ways and whatnot. And so when these rumors began to swirl that this rich heir to the Jameson Whiskey throne was practicing cannibalism, the people went fucking nuts. there
rightfully
was
so. Like, pay to see it if that's really how far you want to go, and leave it at fucking that.
but even he
don't
did
leave receipts.
well, he like paid to see it, but he fucking left receipts, and I guess that was his downfall. So when the rumors started to swirl that this heinous act began to take place, I mean, like, obviously damage control was, you know, tried to be done. So both Jameson's wife and Jameson's own diary entries later on would shift blame to the villagers for the reason of the cannibalism, basically stating that Jameson did not know that the villagers were being for real when they said that they would eat this 10-year-old girl. So
were you being for real when you said you wanted to see it and that you would pay for it?
Yeah, when you gave those 6 handkerchiefs
joking?
off to actually like buy the girl, I'm confused as to like what you thought was going to happen.
Like, he didn't think that that 6 handkerchiefs would do, and he was just doing it as a joke, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyways. Ugh.
So there was actually a letter that was written on August 3rd of 1888 by James Jameson to a man named Sir William McMackinson. He had described his events, which just so happened to be published one day after the translator's affidavit had been published. So the very next day, November 15th of 1888, a letter from James Jameson would be posted saying that though the translator's words were cruel, it was pretty much true. But it wasn't what it looked like. It wasn't what it looked like, okay?
But it wasn't that bad. It was okay.
Because according to Jameson, his good buddy Tippo actually brought him to the tribe and said that, you know, this tribe is going to perform a dance for you. And it is mentioned that after this dance was performed, that there would be a cannibalistic ritual involved. Now, Jameson would say, I did not believe that this was real, okay? Even when Tippo said, you need to give me 6 handkerchiefs in order to prove that this is in fact real.
Okay.
And so James was like, okay, here's 6 handkerchiefs. I don't believe you, though. According to him.
Right.
I don't believe him. Spoiler. He's lying. So he would give the handkerchiefs away, and he would say, oh, it's a joke. Like, I wanted to give the 6 handkerchiefs because I was under the belief that, you know, they would give me a gift if I gave him these handkerchiefs. But then he witnessed them eating a 10-year-old girl.
But that's what they told him. I mean, they told him they were going to eat somebody.
So I guess, like, maybe when they started stabbing her, he was like, oh, so this isn't the joke. But then he didn't stop him, and he just kind of, like, let it continue.
He kept watching.
Yeah. And, you know, that was just kind of, like, what he said happened in his letter, and that's what his wife stuck by, and that's kind of what the media stuck by. And because of that, you know, Jameson was never, or anyone for that matter, was ever held accountable for the actions of the 10-year-old girl that was supposedly eaten. Though it may have been the karmic fate of him dying before he was able to reach any type of English soil. So I did find out that during this expedition, before the news had even reached Stanley, I guess where all of these English people were presiding, Jameson would actually die of a fever that he contracted while on the expedition.
Huh. So did he get a chance to reproduce? Did the Jameson family line keep going?
I did not look into it, but I did not see a heir to them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe had like a daughter or something, and then they just didn't say anything.
Right, or if he had younger brothers and they weren't mentioned.
Yeah. Because I know it did say that they had children, so it wasn't just one, but even if, you know, James
the second, or Jim, the second, even had several
brothers
children,
and sisters themselves.
you know.
Yeah, so it just depends. But either way, whether it be, you know, him dying before he was able to really make it to any type of trial, or it was his uber wealthy family that just wanted to bury the facts and kind of forget that any of this happened, no one really knows the truth as to what truly happened to this young 10-year-old girl who was never named in any of these articles, unfortunately, and who will never have the moment to be rightfully remembered as this fucking asshole sacrifice for something that she wasn't even worth. Like, she was worth way more than 6 fucking handkerchiefs.
Well, what sucks is that in their culture, that is what they're worth. You know, like, to us, it sucks and we see them as way more. But in their culture, it's not like that.
And it was, I mean, you even see it in when she was about to be sacrificed. She didn't fight it. She didn't,
because she knew,
ask for help.
She knew, and that's what that speaks volumes.
It's very much something that it seems she accepted, and that's what I think fucks me up even more, is that she was raised to think that she is worth that, which really fucking I can't get over. So
I'm not saying it's right or acceptable or ethical, but it's cultural, and it's they are products of their culture. And I say, you know, we're products of our time all the time, like, not to use that as an excuse for bad behavior, but really when it comes down to certain things, we are culture, or products of our culture, of our time.
I mean, fucking hurt people, man. It's a fucking fucked up way, and you just gotta work hard on breaking the cycle and being better for yourself and the others around you. Fuck. And that's on nontoxicmoms.com. Well, yeah, that's my story.
And that was the harsh but true story behind Jameson Whiskey, or one of their heirs at least.
Fuck, that's why.
How involved was Jameson in the whiskey process?
I don't think very. He was just like a spoiled grandson, it seems like. So, like, you can still drink Jameson, you know, like, semi-guilt-free. But just know that, like, the beginning of the money definitely funded the cannibalism of a 10-year-old girl. So, next time you really want to interest someone at the bar, you tell them this fact right here. And
I was literally going to say that, like, next time I see anyone drinking Jameson, not that I go out anywhere that serves it.
Yeah, not like I need
I'm going to be like, did you know? Like, a totally unauthorized, unasked for fun fact, not so fun fact, in your words.
Yeah. Cheers to not selling 10-year-olds, or anyone for that matter, because fuck slavery.
Not killing and eating them. Jeez.
Because fuck slavery. So
yeah, cheers to the Alaskan Triangle and how it's fucked up, and please be careful and safe anytime you're in treacherous weather. Stay warm, stay safe.
Yeah, cheers to never traveling that triangle. But if you have traveled it, please let us know. Email us.
If you live in it, oh my God, please. Hit us up on our socials. Oh my God, they're the same. No new ones yet. At RARW Podcast.
And send us an email because we're fucking lonely.
And we don't get any. Red Rum and Red Wine Podcast at gmail.com. And I know we said it earlier. I don't know if it's included in the cut or not, but not only can you leave us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, but you can now leave us 5 stars on Spotify Podcasts.
Yeah.
So please, if that's where you listen to your podcasts, shoot on over to our page and leave us a review, like 5 stars, a few nice words,
really
constructive criticism. Like, negative reviews help us, obviously.
If you're nice
but
enough.
Even if you're trying to, like, you can be constructive in a positive way instead of talking shit in a negative way.
Yeah,
not that we get a lot of those, but still we've gotten a few. It's just like, say what you like, say what you don't like, but be nice about it.
Yeah, you say, you dumbass bitches, research a little more, but other than that, it's great, I love you, and there you go. And that's it. That's the comment. So yeah, leave them down below. It really helps the show out. Even if it's a negative one, we'll take it. Okay, I've had enough.
Okay, bye, mishaps.